2 years ago, I kickstarted my channel with Kratos. Don't watch it, it's bad. But I've improved a lot since then, more concise, and I've had some personal growth of my own. What I'm trying to say is, I'm basically Kratos. For months I've had this idea of remaking my original video to be more in line with my vision, as a sort of milestone to see how far I've come. At the time, God of War Ragnarok was supposedly coming soon. But here we are, years after, and we finally get to witness the next chapter of this exquisitely crafted story by Santa Monica Studios. This first title was jaw-dropping, and they covered big monsters, big boys, and big themes. So before you jump back into the series, I was hoping you'd stop by for a refresher on the thematic accomplishment of the first entry. So today, we're revisiting God of War. Major spoilers.
His own true nature grows faint in his memory, like a dream, while the illusion feels more real every passing day. Who you were before doesn't matter. This boy is not your past, he is your son, and he needs his father.
The game begins with Kratos and Atreus gathering wood for a pyre. As Atreus runs inside, there's a wrapped womanly figure, lifeless on the table, adorned with candles and flowers.
I love you, Mom.
Kratos carries her to the pyre with care and gently places her upon it. His wife, Atreus' mother, is engulfed in flames. My history with Kratos is non-existent. My first impressions of him are that he's old, bearded, and grizzled, stern and quick to anger, but shows temperance on occasion.
What are you doing? I have to kill you!
He carries a resentment towards all gods, he feels they meddle too much in everyone's business, and their agendas always have negative repercussions.
You are God. We are leading, boy.
It's an outlook influenced by his interactions and upbringing within the Greek pantheon, of which he's slaughtered. His actions led to the destruction of the realm due to their absence. And it's a history of violence and a reality that Kratos has successfully fled. And for a time, he's resided with a wife he cared about, and a son whom he's grown ever distant from.
I wish Mom was here to see it.
A son which he's kept shrouded in secrecy about his past, and about Kratos' own godhood.
There is much about me I would not have him know.
Most of what Kratos does share with Atreus are words of affection.
Die, mortal!
He does his best to teach him valuable life lessons that he wishes he had in earlier points of his life, though his tact is nearly non-existent.
No! You are not ready! Stay back!
Atreus is inexperienced, impulsive, and naive, so he has such an optimistic outlook on the world. He's constantly trying to reassure Kratos of his own abilities, but he's not quite aware that he's yet to reach a suitable readiness. His naivete steers him towards helping everyone he can, and even tries to convince Kratos to help as well. He begins the game with a sense of moral goodness and believes that if they can, then they should. Traits likely passed on by his mother, Freya, as Kratos is typically hell-bent on his mission only, with little regard for the qualms of others.
You left me here! Again! Why don't you care?
Atreus also carries much knowledge of the gods. To him, they carry a highly regarded celebrity status, much to Kratos' chagrin. Here we're given the impression that Freya was the primary caregiver in Kratos' absence, but the temperamental rage still boils beneath, along with something else.
That's where you get!
Boy. Look at me! Look at me, boy! Boy, look at me.
As they wind down from the hunt, a knock comes at the front door. It is here where we meet Baldur. Kratos answers the door, and much of the conversation that happens has a double meaning. You see, Baldur is here looking for a giant.
I thought you'd be bigger.
An enlightened people with the ability of foresight. They've been interfering with the gods' overall plans. It's worth noting that the gods can find them now after downing the magical trees initially left by Freya.
The stave's broken there. Did you cut those down?
No.
Kratos is clueless as to who Baldur is, but that doesn't stop Baldur from making the honest mistake of thinking Kratos is a giant, or in the very least, protecting one. Later we come to find out that the giant Baldur seeks is Freya, the race of giants not necessarily meaning everyone is inherently giant. But Kratos has little patience.
Can't hurt me! Nothing can!
After Kratos barely defeats Baldur, and despite Atreus not being ready, they have no choice but to begin their journey to spread Faye's ashes. Early on the path, they hunt and wound a fantastical magic pig.
Yes! Do not lose it.
Which leads them to meeting the witch in the woods.
You needed food?
It is too small
Target practice.
and too old.
Target practice.
Well done.
I'm so sorry.
Whom we later discover is the god Freya, Odin's wife. She helps steer our protagonist in the right direction and offers some aid during their travels. She gives advice and healing in Kratos and Atreus' time of need. We come across the amazing World Serpent. We also meet two competing brother blacksmiths, the best smiths in all of Asgard, both being lesser than the sum of their parts. They have arcs of their own, but they feel rushed and only weakly motivated by our duo's necessity for weapons, despite them properly keeping with the themes. We also find Mimir, rescue Mimir, a prisoner of Odin and self-proclaimed smartest man in all the realms. He points our party to the direction of Jotunheim, the true tallest peak. He agrees to be beheaded by Kratos and revived by Freya, revealing herself to be a god and equipping our duo with another sidekick.
This fiend is spitting on me!
As the quest proceeds, Kratos' secrets begin skirting to the forefront. The main secrets being that Kratos is a god himself, and he's all too familiar with the consequences of killing a god. Earlier in the game, the party were confronted by Magni and Modi, Thor's half-brother sons. Magni is killed by Kratos, and stemming from this are the primary drivers of Atreus' arc. Later, back in the vault, Modi tries to confront the party. Atreus tries to go Super Saiyan, but passes out, a result of an identity crisis between his mortal identity and his own godhood. This internal conflict is the illness alluded to at the start of the game. Kratos scares Modi away and rushes his dying son to Freya, despite his newfound contempt of her godhood. He's at the end of his rope as he hollers for Freya.
Woman, do you hear me?
Also, don't forget about this horn. The answer of who's blowing it right now is probably in Ragnarok. If there's a non-spoiler answer here that I missed, let me know. His experience here is why he's so jaded against all the gods. The weapons he hides away, the chains of chaos, are the very things he used to do it. It's metaphorical considering that in Atreus' time of need, he needs to uncover and face his past to save his own son. An awakening in line with Atreus' own realization, which we'll get to.
Pretend to be everything you are not.
But Kratos' mindset is challenged upon the discovery of the god Tyr, where he learns that not all gods are bastards. Tyr was a renowned peace-seeking god looking to establish relations with other realms. It's in his vault that Kratos and Atreus' arc really begin to take off. After saving Atreus, Kratos realizes that he can hide his godhood no longer, nor Atreus's. His secrets nearly killed his son.
I'm a god, boy.
Atreus responds inquisitively. Over the course of the game, the two start to get closer, and even share some father-son bonding moments.
I'm going to cut off your head now.
These kinds of moments are few, because Kratos harbors a few more secrets left to be revealed.
You only killed those deserving, right?
I'm not sure if this is true or not, but the way Kratos answers the question leads me to believe otherwise.
Yes.
What happens next feels too sudden, and arguably the only real hiccup in the character development. Atreus begins to embrace his godhood and sense of superiority, drifting further away from what his father has been trying to instill. He demonstrates this in a few ways. By killing Modi in their final confrontation.
We can do whatever we want.
Scolding Sindri about his incessant whining.
Do something about it or shut up, Brett.
That hurt a little.
His overconfidence even propels him to attack Baldur, almost leading to his capture, which lands the duo in Helheim.
Boy,
Kratos admonishes every one of these actions and eventually sets the boy straight.
this will not stand.
He's forced to confront these behaviors head on, and he learns he must be more involved with the direction of his son.
It is not too late.
I understand what they were trying to do here, but it felt rushed, so it lessens the impact. In Helheim, we learn more about Baldur. We stumble upon him viewing apparitions of his past, where Freya and young Baldur argue over a protection spell.
You would rather die?
Out of love and fear for his life, she casts a spell of immortality. He can't feel pain or be killed. We learn later through Mimir that it's only broken by mistletoe. Freya took precautions by wiping Mimir's mind, so it took him a while to recover it. Young Baldur responds aggressively, but decides to spare his mother, an action we see that current Baldur now regrets.
Do it! Do it!
Assumedly because living without sensation for long enough is probably mildly upsetting. This capitalizes the main theme, that of family and parentage. Freya and Baldur's relationship show the cost of caring too much.
I can't taste. I can't smell. I can't even feel the temperature of this room.
Trying to shield and protect the ones you love, ultimately leading to their harm.
These arrows are dangerous and wicked. You find any more, you destroy them, understand?
This contrasts Atreus' near-death recurring illness and rebellious arc by having a father that appears to care too little. Kratos' parental style being overly distant and at times not totally honest.
There are consequences to killing a god!
How do you know?
With this understanding, we go to the final conflict and climax. Kratos and Atreus have the final key they need to enter Jotunheim. They're interrupted by Baldur once more, and the two finally speak after a seemingly long time.
I don't need you at all.
He attempts to close the distance with hopes of reverting his regret of not killing her in the past. Kratos steps in the way, stating that the path of vengeance is a pointless and dissatisfying endeavor, a difficult lesson he learned the hard way. The two clash again while Freya attempts to restrain them. Baldur eventually finds an opportunity to attack Atreus and accidentally wounds himself with a piece of mistletoe.
Ouch!
The battle continues, but now Baldur is vulnerable, and now we see Atreus and Kratos coordinate attacks in greater harmony than we've seen before, implying that their partnership is at its peak. Kratos bests Baldur, but makes the decision to spare him at the behest of a pleading Freya.
Please.
She agrees to sacrifice herself for his happiness, still caring too much. Because she'll do anything for him, his negative behaviors are reinforced and validated. But before Baldur succeeds, Kratos interferes and restrains the weakened Baldur.
No, my boy! My dear sweet boy!
Freya is enraged, and she promises vengeance as she feels she's been robbed of what she holds most dear.
I will parade your cold body from every corner of every realm and feed your soul to the vilest filth in hell. That is my promise. Passing on your cruelty and rage, you will never change.
Is this what it is to be a god?
No, we will be the gods we choose to be. We must be better than this.
Finally, they find themselves in Jotunheim. Kratos walks to the ledge and removes his wrist wraps, signaling a complete embrace of who he is and what he's done. He overtly expresses that he has nothing to hide with a new understanding of his role to Atreus. He won't make Freya's mistakes. He then offers Faye's ashes to Atreus, as a sign of trust and realization that this is his journey too.
Carry her.
As they walk through the Temple of the Giants to the tallest peak, they bear witness to the giants' power of foresight. Everything they did was predicted and sculpted into the wall. It's all part of a prophecy that coincides with the events of Ragnarok. Faye is revealed to be a giant, and Atreus' name was debated, Faye favoring a different one than Kratos, that name being Loki.
I'm a giant.
As they reach the peak, they prepare to spread her ashes. Atreus opens the bag towards his father, but Kratos has learned, so they do it together, with an important change to his moniker from boy to son. The ashes are taken by the wind among the rest of the deceased giants. If we look back towards the beginning, we see just how different our characters are now from who they were.
Feed us.
At the start, Kratos was a distant, controlling father with little trust for his son's development and decisions. Now he's more expressive, honest, and involved. Atreus was naive, overconfident, and didn't know his own self. But now he's more experienced, accepting of his godhood, and measured. At the start of the game, Baldur was alive. Freya was loving and nurturing, overbearingly so. but now she's wrathful and sees our duo as animals to be slaughtered. All of these are satisfying and complete arcs, and the themes of parentage and family are handled with diligence and experience.
The power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here.
If you're a parent, perhaps there's relations to your own struggles from raising a child. And like Kratos, perhaps you feel the unparalleled happiness when you see them come into their own. But if you're not a parent, there's themes here about accepting your past, dealing with loss, and the family experience. Each theme as well presented and as conducive as the last.
They teach you to kill, yes, but in defense of yourself. Never as an indulgence.
Whichever the case, there's much to learn from Kratos and Freya's mistakes, and the rest of the cast are all worth acknowledging as important life lessons.
He won't stop interfering in my life.
That it's better to be measured and thoughtful,
I killed my father.
rather than overbearing or overly distant. Because our behaviors not only affect those nearby, but through generations. So it's necessary that we make adjustments to how we interact with those we care about, those we love, and those we raise, before our own ashes are scattered to the wind.